Hi everyone, so let's proceed sa topic 2, which is the varieties and registers of spoken and written language. But before we start, sorry sa voice ko talaga, ewan ko kung anong nangyari. But I hope you don't mind and I hope na may maintindihan pa rin kayo sa lesson na to. So, yeah. So at the end of this lesson, you are expected to discuss the importance of different language varieties in spoken and written language, identify the 5 common types of written and spoken language register, and perform an activity showing the different varieties of spoken English. Okay, so we'll leave where English crosses national boundaries, right? Kasi English ang ating universal language. So it brings people together from different linguistic and cultural backgrounds. So nakikita naman natin yan na English talaga yung somewhat nagbe-break ng boundaries natin, communication boundaries, mga interference na yan. So, yeah. So, sabi nga dito, undeniably, the universal language has penetrated societies and has impacted them in so many facets, such as in education, politics, trade and commerce, economy, technology, culture, and among others. So, without the universal language, it is very impossible na we communicate with each other. Now, we can understand each other. So, makikita mo talaga how the universal language works. As such, non-native speakers of English draw upon it, either wittingly or not-wittingly, in relation to their linguistic and social-cultural context. So, ang question dyan, meron ba talagang standard English, di ba? So, ano bang variety ng English ang ating kailangang gamitin, di ba? So, these questions are tough to answer and subjects of ongoing debates. So, Oichuko and Santos cites Macrum et al., who espoused the idea of word Englishes in response to which variety of English should be used. So, they say that all languages are equal in functionality. Syempre, ginagamit natin ang language to communicate. So, it is equal in functionality. But as to prestige or as to status, it's different. Nakikita naman natin yan. And in other words, the issue points back to the variability of language or variation as a characteristic of all languages. So, Nordquist adds that varieties of language develop for a number of reasons. One reason points to geography, where people living in different geographic areas tend to develop distinct dialects. So, makikita natin yan dito sa Pilipinas, dito po lang sa Cagayan Valley. Napakarami nating dialect, di ba? Parang, basta, napakarami talaga. Ako, I'm not really from Cagayan Valley. I'm from Mindanao. So, parang na-culture shock ako pagdating ko dito na I can hear siguro mga 5 languages sa classroom namin. So, parang napakaraming dialects. So, it is based on where we live. Yeah. So, and other reasons have to do with social class, occupation, and age group. So, further, one obvious reason for the variation is the necessity for and ease of interaction. Okay, so ano ba yung dialect na yan? So, dialect is, ano ba yung difference nung sinasabi dito ng language varieties, dialect, socialect, age-alect? Ano ba yung mga differences niyan? So, I'll try to, medyo sobrang broad kasi niyan. So, I'll try to congest it na maintindihan niyo. Okay, so dialect is geographic. So, where you live, yun yung nakukuha mong lengguwahe kung saan ka nakatira. For example, nakatira ka sa Visayas. So, parang ang utak ng tao, you're a Visayan. So, you're expected to speak Bisaya. Kasi yun yung geographic place mo, where you live. So, ganun. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng dialect. It is the language that a group of people speak. Okay? So, sabi dito, it is a variety of language spoken by a group of people that is characterized by systematic features such as phonological, lexical, grammatical. Ayan. So, sabi dito, a dialect is a version of language spoken by group of people. So, andyan yung ating pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. So, balik tayo dun sa Bisaya. It doesn't mean na Bisaya, yung dialect na Bisaya, pare-parehas na. It has different ways of pronouncing, different, marami eh. Yung grammar, iba. For example, sa akin, yung father ko taga Bohol. Iba yung pronunciation nila ng yung Y nagiging J. So, for example, yung line nila na ija, ija, aho, aho. Ibig sabihin kasi yun, kanya-kanya. So, sa kanya, sa akin, sa akin. Sa Bisaya na pinanggalian ko sa Mindanao, iya, iya, ako, ako. Parang ganun. Pero pagdating sa Bohol, iba yung pag-pronounce nila, ija, ija, aho, aho. So, nakikita mo yung differences. Ganun ang dialect. It depends on where you live. Okay? So, let's move on to, parang hindi na tayo lalayo. Dito muna sa Dialect. So, Dialect naman is a much smaller. It is a much smaller. It's a way of how a particular person speaks. So, ito yung manner on how he uses the language uniquely. So, sabi nga dito, what makes your language unique? So, body language. Iba yung, makikita mo kasi, iba yung, malalaman mo kagad, makikita mo sa galaw niya, ano yan, taga city yan, parang ganyan, taga ano yan. Makikita mo sa how they project, yun, mga ganun. And yun nga, how you use your gestures, facial expressions, and so forth. And sometimes, the words you choose. So, ito yung mga jokes mo, yung quirky or unusual phrases na nagagamit mo. So, that is one thing that makes your language unique. How it sounds. So, unusual ways of pronouncing words such as volume, yung pitch mo. So, makikita mo talaga, ganun si Dialect. Si Dialect ay parang fingerprint mo. Para siyang language fingerprint. Si dialect, para siyang parang lahat tayo may language. Parang ganun. Parang lahat tayo may fingerprint. Pero when you move on sa Dialect, each fingerprint is different. Kahit magkapamilya tayo. So parang yung Dialect is your unique representation on how you use the language. So, sana clear yon kasi medyo mahirap, very broad talaga siya. So, sabi dito, ito yung mga habits mo on how you speak, mga ganun. So, yun ganun si Dialect. So, yung speech pattern mo, and so on and so forth. So, sa Socialect naman is also known as social dialect. So, it is a variety of language or register used by socioeconomic class, such as profession, age group, and other social group. So, nakikita niyo naman yan. Yes, we speak Tagalog. Yes, we speak English. Pero when it comes to economic class, we speak differently. Diba? We use the language differently based on the economic class na kinakausap natin based on the status. So, according to Lewandowski, it is a lect which is thought as being related to its speaker's social background or rather than geographical. Simply put, it is a variety of spoken by a particular social group, class, subculture, and so on and so forth. So, nakikita niyo yung differences? Dialect is based on where you live. Dialect is your manner, your unique representation, your unique use of the language. And socialect is based on the economic class, the status. Okay? So, sana clear yun. Okay. Next, we move on to slang. So, slang refers to the words that are not considered part of the standard vocabulary. So, medyo misconception natin yan, di ba? Nung nanonood tayo ng English movies, we would say, sobrang slang naman niya. Hindi po ganun. Ang slang is, sabi dito, it is a very informal language variety. Okay? So, sometimes it is not polite words and it doesn't have big meanings at all. So, ganun ang slang. So, mali yung misconception natin ha, na ang slang is the way you speak na parang konyo, mga ganyan. Hindi siya ganun. So, ang slang is, again, refers to words that are not considered part of standard vocabulary of language and that are used very informally in speech, especially by a particular group of people. So that's according to Merriam-Webster. Next, meanwhile, jargon is a set of vocabulary items used by members of particular professions. So yung sinasabi ko na technical terms. So for example, pupunta ka sa, sino pupunta dito sa BDO? So may maririnig ka na override, di ba? May mga ginagamit silang mga words na in layman's term, hindi mo talaga maintindihan kasi it is their own jargons. For example, sa amin mga teacher, so pag marinig mo sa amin ang parang yung mga ginagamit ng mga terms yung OT or special class, PTR, or kasi mga benefits namin. So, pag narinig mo yun, hindi mo masyadong maintindihan kasi it is the particular language in each profession. So, for example, linguists have usually large vocabulary and that is not well understood by non-linguists. So, sabi din dito, may mga jargons ng advertising businesses. So, ganon si jargon. Si jargon is the specific language per particular profession. So, sana naiintindihan nyo yun. Alam ko, na-observe nyo yun eh. Pag pumunta kayo sa Jollibee minsan, pag mag-order kayo, marami silang ginagamit mga terms, mga codes. Yun yung jargon. Okay? Yun yung kanilang specific language per profession. Next, we move on to pidgins. So, pidgins, according to Ozukun, are simplified languages that occur from two or more languages. So, pidgins are developed by people who do not have a common language to communicate in the same geographical area. So, for example, ako, Visaya, and nakatira na ako dito sa Cagayan Valley. We do not speak common language, right? So, kung, for example, wala si Tagalog, paano tayo magkakaintindihan kung ang kausap ko ay Ibanag and Bisaya? So, we create a language, di ba, na parang sinisimplify natin yung language para magkaintindihan tayong dalawa. Yun ang pidgins. So, nag-occur, pumapasok si pidgins pag may two or more languages or two or more people that do not speak the same language. So they're trying to develop a specific language to at least communicate with each other. So sabi dito, Wardo calls it nobody's first language or mother tongue because it doesn't have any native speakers. It is just used as a contact language for communication purposes. So, yun yung sinasabi ko. Next, in contrast to a pidgin, a Creole is often defined as a pidgin that has become the first language of a new generation of speakers. So, sabi dito, Creole arises when pidgins become mother tongues. So, a Creole, therefore, is a normal language in almost every sense. A Creole is a pidgin which has expanded in structure and vocabulary to express the range of meanings and serve the range of functions required of a first language. So, ang pagkaintindi ko dito is, di ba, may mga certain languages na parehas natin na pronounce, parehas nating, as in same sila. So, siguro parang, di ba, ang pidgins is, na-create siya to communicate as a way of communicating in sa two different languages. A Creole parang na-formalize niya si pidgins. Parang ginagamit na siya talaga. Parang ina-adapt na siya as a language talaga na parang nag-level up si pidgins. Parang ganon. Next, we move on to register. So, this is sometimes called style. So, is another complicating factor in the study of language varieties. So, sabi nga ni Wardo, sobrang complicated talaga nito. So, as in, alam niyo itong pinagpag-aralan nyo is our major subject na sobrang pinaghihirapan talaga namin. Ewan ko, basta, mahirap talaga siya. Sobrang broad kasi, kaya, ito can create one module siguro. So, sobrang congested na talaga siya. Anyways, so register is a set of language items associated with discrete or occupational groups and for example, exemplified surgeons, pilots, bank managers, mga yan. So, they employ different registers, different styles. So, we have 5 types of register used in spoken and written language. So, ito yung formal, frozen, static, consultative, casual, and intimate. Very easy lang to. Sana. Okay, so we move on to number 1. We have frozen or static. Ibig sabihin ng static, diba? Stable. Okay, so at this level, language is literally frozen in time and in form. So it does not change. So this type of language is often learned and repeated by rote. So examples are biblical verses, prayers, pledge of allegiance, and so forth. So it doesn't change. As is na yan. Kahit ilang revisions pa ang dyan, as is na yan. Stable na yan. Next, we have formal. Formal register is, ibig sabihin yan, it is not personal. So, it follows specific format. So, it follows specific rules. So, the speaker uses complete sentences, avoids slang, may use technical or academic vocabulary. It is likely that the speaker will use fewer contractions. Alam niyo ba yung contractions? Contractions, yun yung ating mga have, haven't, don't, mga ganyan. So, yung mga yan, contractions, hindi yan ginagamit sa formal writing, such as letters, essays, reports, speeches, announcements. So, pag once na magsusulat kayo ng formal essays, sa mga thesis nyo, always remember this. Do not, as much as possible, do not use contractions. So, minsan kasi pag nagsusulat tayo ng essay, feel na natin yung sinusulat natin eh. So, parang sobrang personal na siya. Parang, ang tawag doon, hindi na natin napapansin na we used informal languages. So, yun ang tandaan nyo. Pag academic purpose, yung essays nyo, yung tulad ng mga thesis na yan, it shouldn't use slang or mga informal languages. Next, we move on to consultative register. So, consultative meaning this register is used when consulting an expert such as a doctor or teacher. So, the language used is more precise. So, the speaker is likely to address the expert by titles such as Doctor, Mrs. or Mrs., Mr. and Mrs. or Ma'am, Madam, ganun. So, consultation. Next, we have casual or informal register. So, this register is conversational in tone. So, it is the language used among us and between friends. So, words are general rather than technical. So, this register may include more slangs and colloquialisms. Personal emails, phone texts, short notes, friendly letters, and so on and so forth are examples of casual register. Next, we have intimate. So, ito yung ginagamit ng mga lovers na alam kong sobrang nakaka-relate talaga kayo. Okay, so it is also the language used in sexual harassment. This is the most intimate form of language. So, it is best avoided in public and professional situations, ladies and gentlemen. So, pag nasa public tayo, kahit kasama yung mga jowa-jowa nyo dyan, at least try to avoid naman mga words na very intimate. Baka sabihin, maghanap na kayo ng kwarto. Mga ganun. Wag basta yun. Try to at least avoid it. Especially pag nasa professional kayo. Professional meaning pag nasa school kayo, okay? So, hindi porket college kayo, understood na sa amin na nakikita kayong nandyan sa gilid-gilid at sobrang intimate nyo ng dalawa. Okay? Okay, we move on to varieties of English. So, it has been said that languages are all equal in functionality, sasabi ko kanina, but not in prestige or not in status. So, prestige-wise, there are two well-known varieties of English. So, alam natin yan, British English and American English. So, these two varieties differ in terms such as phonology, vocabulary, spelling, and grammar, and so on and so forth. So, napakaraming differences. Parang ganun. So, this table is adapted by Finnegan. So, it is cited to illustrate some of the prominent differences between the two most widespread English varieties. So, let's move on to this one. So, phonology. RP versus GA. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng RP versus GA? So, yung RP is received language. So, originally, ang ibig sabihin ng received language kasi is standard British, English-British accent. Parang ganun. So, ang GA naman is the General American. So, nakikita niyo yung differences niyan. Alam ko nanonood kayo ng Harry Potter. Diba? Iba yung mga pronunciation nila of things. For example, hindi ko kasi talaga kaya mag-speak ng British, pero you search sa internet how they speak their R. It's different on our R. Ang kaya ko lang gawin is the American kasi yun naman talagang ginagamit natin. So sabi dito, rhotic. Yung rhotic accent kasi, ang big sabihin yan is R sound is retained before consonants. So when we say, for example, hard, or cart, mga ganon. So, at the end of the word, pwedeng car, far. So, alam ko sa British, iba yung pag-pronounce nila. Siguro sa hard, hard, mga ganon, caught. So, hindi mo masyadong naririnig yung R. Unlike dun sa American, di ba na hard, cart, mga ganon, car, far. So, sa British, alam ko iba talaga siya. Parang heart, caught, diba? Wag yun ipapatry sa akin kasi hindi ko talaga alam. So, yun nga. Ang point lang naman dito is different phonology, different sounds. Diba? Ang phonology meaning phonemes, sounds, different pronunciation. So, sabi rin dito, yung sa British, yung A nila, iba ang pag-pronounce nila. Sa American naman, iba rin. Diba? Sa kanila ata, ang can't is can't. Dance. Parang paloob. Sa atin man sa American English natin, can't. Dance. Parang ganun. Iba-iba talaga. And, marami pa examples yan. Sobrang broad ng English, guys. So, yeah, yun lang naman yung point dyan is different sounds, different phonology, different pronunciation. Next, we have spelling. So, minsan nagtataka, ano ba talagang spelling? Kasi, minsan, nakikita natin to, okay naman. Tapos minsan, yun kasi yung, sabi nga, differences ng English. So, sabi dito, sa British, ang pag-spell nila ng color is may U. License nila is C. Unlike sa English, sa American English na S. Analyze nila is S sa British. Sa American naman, Z. Diba nakakalito? Or theater nila, theatre. Sa atin naman sa American English, theater. So, merong double L sa dialed. And, basahin nyo na lang yan. So, yeah. different spelling, different sounds. Next, we move on to grammar. So, pag papansinin nyo, kung napanood nyo talagang Harry Potter, di ba iba yung construction of sentences nila? Mas parang complicated. Kasi, for example, this one, ang itatanong lang sana is, nakapunta ka na ba sa Rome? Pero ang ginagamit ng sentence, have you ever gone to Rome? So, pag ikaw yung normal na magkikinig, ha? Di ba? Mas simplified yung American na, did you ever go to Rome? So, alam mo na kaagad na, yeah. Alam mo na kaagad na yes or no ang sagot. Pero pag may narinig kang, have you ever gone? Parang, natitrigger yung sakit ng ulo mo. Parang gano'n. Pero, yeah, sobrang iba talaga. Iba. Yes. Yun lang naman yung point dito. Different phonology, different sounds, different spelling, and different grammar. So, hindi ko na i-dig in talaga yan kung ano kasi yun lang naman talaga yung differences niya. Different talaga sila. Next. And different vocabulary. So, ito. Marami ding nalilito dito. Ang mga examples lang to, napakarami nito. For example, lift. Ang ibig sabihin ng lift sa British is not lift na lift up. Ibig sabihin ng elevator. So, sasakay ako ng lift, gagayan sila. So, di mo naman pwedeng sakyan ng lift, di ba? Pag normal kang nakikinig. Pero ibig sabihin nun ay elevator. Next, petrol. Sa atin naman, gas. Mga lorry, truck, di ba ang layo? So, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Alam ko marami yan, and kung nagbabalak kayong pumunta sa UK, sa United Kingdom, you should study their vocabulary. Kasi it's very different from what we are learning here in the Philippines since we are basing our English as American standard. Next, below are additional examples that show the variation between the two varieties at the level of vocabulary taken from. So ito, you master this one kasi baka lalabas to sa quizzes nyo. Okay, so sa British English and Americans, for example, trainers, ibig sabihin pala nun ay sneakers, di ba? Jumper, pullover, ibig sabihin pala sweater. Chips, yun pala, ibig sabihin ng French fries, di ba? Layo. Crisp, potato chips, biscuit, cookie, mga ganyan. Pickish, hungry, mga ganun. So, di ba? Napaka daming differences. So, you search on this and try to master it and try to know the differences of it. So, as to meaning, they are the same, pero they use different words. Kasi, okay, so we proceed to the Philippine variety of language. Sorry for that, medyo nakata ko. So, the late Danilo Dayag averred that Philippine English is a legitimate nativized variety of English which shares some linguistic properties ascribed to other varieties but has features that are peculiar to it. So, Uichuco and Santos add that it has its own idiosyncratic usages made over it in terms of vocabularies and meanings assigned to them. For instance, they say comfort room is Philippine term for washroom, toilet, or lavatory. So, na-realize ko yan nung nagturo ako kasi I'm teaching Chinese students. So, meron akong naturuan na isang matanda and I was saying na lavatory is other term for comfort room. Hindi pala nila alam yung comfort room. Tayo lang pala yata yung gumagamit ng, ewan ko kung Filipino lang talaga. Pero tayo lang siguro yung gumagamit ng comfort room kasi they don't know comfort room. They don't know washroom either. Parang, ano ba yung term na nagkaintindihan kami? Basta, iba ang terms nila. So, sa Filipino, tayo lang siguro talaga yung laging gumagamit ng comfort room. Yan ang differences natin sa iba. Next, we have ang salvage sa atin. Salvage, it does not necessarily mean to save, but it connotes something evil or murder. Parang ganon. And then, meron din sinasabi dito na Sabi dito, Philippine variety of English is something puristic or difficult to understand. So, to support their point, they say stick refers to cigarette, di ba? So, parang tulad din tayo ng British na British and American English na nag-iiba rin talaga yung usage of words. Minsan naman yung high blood. Ang ibig sabihin natin dyan yung parang na high blood ka, yung nagalit ka, na-upset ka, or na-tense. Yung high blood naman talaga is parang hypertension. Tumaas yung dugo mo, hindi naman talaga yung high, yung iba kasi, alam ko nagigets niyo ako. And blowout, iba yung ibig sabihin ng blowout. Ang blowout sana sa American is you blow. 'Di ba? Blowout. Ang ibig sabihin ng blowout sa atin is party. You treat someone. Parang ganon. Libre. Parang ganon. So, other lexical items such as student tree. Yan. So, tayo lang gumagamit ng student body, motel. Yan naman motel na parang naiba na yung connotation niya kasi parang ibig sabihin sa atin doon nangyayari yung mga kababalaghan. Parang ganon. Boy is a Filipino perceived to be Filipino-American, mga pulot boy, boy who picks up tennis ball in a game, balikbayan box. Yun yung mga terms natin na talagang malalaman mo, Pilipino yan. Parang gano'n. So, pronunciation-wise, Philippine English is rhetoric. Rhotic, I mean. So, rhotic yung example ko kanina na very, narinig mo talaga yung R sound. Okay. Ginawa ko yun kanina. Naiya kasi ako, di talaga ako marunong mag-British accent, guys. So, sabi dito, it is syllable timed, following the rhythm of the local languages. Full value is therefore given to unstressed syllables, and squa is usually realized as a full vowel. So, certain polysyllables have distinctive, sorry for that. Certain polysyllables have distinctive stress patterns as with eligible established ceremony. Okay. Intonation is widely characterized as sing-songs. So, educated Filipinos aimed at an AME or American accent, but have varying success with the vowel contrast in sheep, ship, fool, mga ganun. So, nahihirapan pa rin ang Filipinos on how to differentiate the different sounds. Kahit na nagbe-base tayo sa American. So, depende na rin kasi kung saan na sana yung geographical, dahil sa dialect nga, kung saan ka nakatira, it might affect your, on how your ways of pronouncing words. So, the distinction between S, Z, TH is not made. It's not made. So, yung azure, pleasure, seas, cars. So, yeah. Interdental, yan. So, napakaraming terms na kung isa-isahin natin yan, abutin tayo na kinabukasan kasi this one is another subject, another major subject of ours. It's so hard. Okay. So, we move on to the summary. So, language is a medium of communication. So, lagi kong paulit-ulit yan. The challenge of today's global world is to communicate effectively with people of different cultural backgrounds and diverse communication practices. So, living in a global community demands an understanding of the similarities and differences from one country to another and from one culture to another. So, yun lang kailangan ng mundo. Understanding. Okay? So, there is also a need to understand and learn the varieties and registers of spoken and written language. So, therefore, language is a cultural component which serves as bridge to understand people around the world. So, intercultural communication is interacting with people of different cultures. So, the four forms, alam na natin yan, na-discuss ko na yan, interracial, interethnic, international, intracultural, give way to an exposure of one person to people of different cultures, which demands competence in interacting with people. So, to be effective and efficient in local and global communication, there is a need to enhance one's skills in intercultural communication. So, there is a need to develop the four forms. Ito, yung four forms na to. So, there's a need for you to develop that to enhance or to be effective, to be an effective communicator. So it is notable that one of the characteristics of language is variability. So these are the varieties of language due to reasons like geography or dialect, social class, socialect, occupation, and age group. So the different language varieties are dialect and socialect, agelect, slang, register, jargon, pidgins, Creole, and so on and so forth. So the types of registers in lima, frozen or static, formal, consultative, casual, and intimate. So these registers are defined according to social situations and according to the level of formality with which you speak. So everyday registers are often spoken. So everyday registers are often spoken, while in academic context, oral forms are accompanied with written communication. So in terms of functionality, language are equal. Yung sinasabi ko kanina, but prestige-wise, there are two most well-known varieties of English, which are the British and American. So these two have differences in phonology or sounds, vocabulary, spelling, and grammar. So on the other hand, sorry for that. On the other hand, Philippine English has linguistic properties and features. It has idiosyncratic usages and puristic or difficult to understand. So pronunciation-wise, Philippine English is rhotic. It means very retained ang R sounds natin. Syllable time, polysyllabic with distinctive stress. It has also a distinct intonation pattern. So despite the challenges brought about by cultural diversity and differences in communication, our written and oral communication effectiveness must be enhanced. We must embrace the benefits of cross-cultural communication. So it is through language and culture that we understand people in multicultural context. So, yeah, I hope na may natutunan kayo kahit sobra talagang kinonjust ko na ng kinonjust. Yan. So, I'll see you sa Unit 3. Konti na lang guys, malapit na ang midterms. So, yeah, have a great day ahead and I hope you're all safe. Wishing you all good health and good mental health, emotional and physical and all. So, have a great day guys and see you again soon. Bye. Take care. Bye. God bless.